I'd like to introduce a little housekeeping before we start this proclamation event. If anyone is interested in closed captioning, and it's not displaying on your device, you can either tap on the CC icon or hit the More menu option, and you can see the closed captioning. And we are asking everyone just the normal Zoom etiquette. Please keep your microphones muted unless you're speaking. So with that said, once again, welcome everyone. And I would like to introduce the president of the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking, Dr. Celia Mcintosh.
Hello, thank you. Thank you and hello. Today we come together to recognize January as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. As many of you may know, human trafficking is our modern day slavery. There are two forms of human trafficking: sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Worldwide, children, women, and men are exploited by way of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of commercial sex, debt bondage, and involuntary labor. A common misconception is that human trafficking is a foreign epidemic. It happens over in Asia or China. But thanks to the momentum of education and awareness, we're coming to recognize that it exists within the United States, and yes, here in our own Rochester community. Human trafficking is the fastest growing and second largest criminal industry in the world. It is estimated that this industry generates about $150 billion annually, which has been said to be more than Nike, Starbucks, and Google combined. All trafficking victims share one essential experience: the loss of freedom. Despite this knowledge, the demand continues to grow and human trafficking continues to be under-recognized and underreported. Since 2007, the National Human Trafficking Resource Center received more than 73,000 reports of human trafficking in the United States. Of those, over 10,000 have come from the great state of New York, which is currently ranked the fourth highest call volume to this national hotline. We know that this is likely a gross underestimation given the hidden nature of the crime. And in fact, Shared Hope International, an organization that battles sex abuse, recently gave New York State a grade of an F. We're down from a D with a 42% in its efforts to stop trafficking. So we have definitely decreased in our efforts to stop sex trafficking. The Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking calls out trafficking in persons as a global public health problem. It's a violation of basic human rights and a crime against humanity. Human trafficking is a much bigger problem than just traffickers. It's also caused by social determinants of health that may include child abuse, prior trauma, poverty, discrimination, mental illness, lack of opportunity, and addiction. Human trafficking tends to flourish because of the hidden nature of the crime. It oftentimes has low penalties and high profits. During this global pandemic, trafficking victims have been impacted by many things: suspension or reduction of outreach activities, reduction or disruption of homeless shelters, closure of diversional courts such as the drug court, trafficking court, or even mental health court. All these services which connect victims to vital services, all these courts that connect individuals to vital services. With more people suddenly relying on food banks, thrift stores, that means less access to food, clothing, and household goods for everyone. Healthcare also has become harder for everyone to access, especially some without a cell phone. Telemedicine makes it harder to build trust and evaluate patients that have been trafficked. In addition to that, the new social mandates have also contributed to expanded online communication, and the use of technology has also increased the risk of trafficking. Image-based sexual abuse or cybersexual terrorism is also on the rise. Cybersexual terrorism is essentially a matrix of sexual violent crimes amplified by the use of technology and the internet, where perpetrators incite and solicit co-conspirators to work in collusion to maintain a perpetual and permanent cycle of off and online sexual violence and terror. These perpetrators use the cyber sexual violence to control, shame, extort, and upend a victim's life. When these images are sold, the crime is elevated to sexual trafficking. In an effort to silence victims and prevent them from seeking justice, perpetrators commonly engage in stalking and doxing campaigns, which is the practice of crowdsourcing hate and targeting that hate to cause catastrophic end. Because of these emerging crimes, more individuals can fall victim to trafficking. In response to this increased incidence of human trafficking reports within the greater Rochester community, the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking was formed in 2013 as a coordinated response for the needs of trafficked individuals. What started out with a couple of nonprofit individuals now includes many across the community spectrum. Angels of Mercy, Bright Star Community, Church Women United, National Council of Jewish Women, Sisters of St. Joseph, Stop Abuse Campaign, Hope and Help Counseling, the Villa of Hope, Worldwide Documentaries, and the Vignelli Center of Design Studies at RIT. In addition to these groups, many individuals give their uncompensated time to RCAT simply because they refuse to do nothing. RCAT is dedicated to eliminating human trafficking in our communities through education, advocacy, and networking with individuals and organizations. So to put our words of our mission into action, we developed a Yes Here campaign. And basically this fosters awareness throughout Monroe County on RTS buses, shelters, monitors, and inside cars, just to make visible of the problem of human trafficking. RCAT is also a leader in education and awareness. We're aiming to educate the community and make visible the problem of human trafficking in upstate New York. To date, we've educated close to 5,000 people from different disciplines. The average lifespan of a trafficking victim is 7 to 10 years from the time they started being trafficked. So it is very imperative that we improve efforts to educate individuals about human trafficking so they're able to recognize the signs and connect at-risk or trafficked individuals with resources. Another mainstay of RCAT is our Care Pack initiative. Our goal is to help victims by providing them with essential toiletries, quarters, combs, snacks, warm blankets. We organize community groups that collect these supplies and assemble them in packs and distribute them to outreach organizations. And this year we have decided to partner with the Sunshine Home in Antigua to also provide their organization with supplies because there are many girls that are being trafficked there as well. So now I will turn it over to Melanie, who is the Chief Operational Officer for the Stop Abuse Campaign. It's a national organization that prevents adverse childhood experiences through public education and public policy. She's also a founding member of RCAT and our current legislative chair.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mcintosh. Thank you to everyone who's here. It would be horrible for us to talk about how big this problem is and how the toll that this problem is taking on our community without talking about some things that our elected officials can do to fix it. So I'm going to kind of run down a brief list of suggestions and things that we just need to do as a community to combat this problem. It's not going to go away tomorrow. But if we start talking about it today, we're building the framework for a future without human trafficking. Monroe County, the New York State, and the federal government all need to invest in evidence-based maternal home visiting programs. These are our best prevention tools to prevent child abuse, neglect, maltreatment, childhood trauma. Programs like Healthy Families New York, Parents as Teachers, Nurse Family Partners prevent the childhood trauma that causes poor educational performance, that causes addiction, that causes mental health issues, and that is the single best predictor of human trafficking, of vulnerability to human trafficking, is how much trauma a child sustains and whether or not that child experiences sexual abuse. That is our best predictor. We can prevent it 5% of New York families have access to these services. We need to fix that. As a community, as a state, and as a country, we need to have discussions about foster care and improving outcomes. We need to, as a community, as a state, and as a nation, we need to have more intelligent, better, and more in-depth discussions about preventing child sexual abuse, including on the local level. We really need to bolster our efforts to educate everyone, particularly people who work with children, but everyone on the street, about child sexual abuse, recognizing it and spotting it. It's a lot easier to intervene in a child's life and get them on a better trajectory if we can stop the abuse after it started, rather than by the time they are a trafficking victim, they're an adult and they have a whole lot of other things getting them enmeshed in that situation. We need to, another thing that is becoming more and more important that Dr. Mcintosh talked about in her speech, we need to come up with, start having good discussions on legislation to protect from cyber abuse. Things like releasing names of people who have been engaged in non-consensual pornography, or releasing private information as a punishment, as a tool for coercion. We need something called doxing. We need legislation to discuss that. We need better regulation of user uploaded pornography and non-consensual pornography. We need better discussion, better understanding, better training concerning cybersexual terrorism. Again, some of these are new and emerging topics. These are not things that there's an easy model of. I can't just say, hey, support this bill or support this measure. That makes it harder. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations in this community, in the state, and in this nation. But we're never going to fix this problem otherwise. So, with that said, let's think of the opportunities here. We can do this. We are a community that is based in emancipation. We are a community that is based in civil rights and human rights. Things we also need to embrace in order to end human trafficking. We have a whole lot of elected officials and important people here today, and we appreciate that. And I'm going to start introducing them in just a moment. If we can all get here together for a morning, we can have these conversations. We can come up with solutions. We can make them happen. And that's the real hope today. So I want to thank everybody here for that. I'm going to mention this later, but I'm also going to mention it now. For anyone who's more interested in learning about human trafficking, RCAT is hosting a virtual conference on the 19th of January. You can go to our website, rrcaht.org, to learn more. So with that said, again, I'm so grateful we have such important people here today in this community who care so much about this. Some of them have a few things to say. So I would like to introduce first Andrew Cook from Senator Schumer's office.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Andrew Cook. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for Senator Schumer's Rochester Finger Lakes office. I have a brief letter from Senator Schumer. I just wanted to read out to you all this morning. Dear members of the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking and attendees, I'm sorry I cannot be with you today as you join together to stand against human trafficking and raise awareness in the greater Rochester area about the real and present danger of this horrific criminal activity. You're an outstanding resource for the community as we work to increase awareness and combat the exploitation of vulnerable members of our society. I've been pleased to join with advocates to push for legislation that focuses on supporting victims of human trafficking, such as the VOCA Fix Act, to make sure the Victims Crime Fund is sustained, which I helped get passed last year. The research, advocacy, and support you provide for victims of human trafficking is essential as this crisis continues to spread across the nation. I want to congratulate you on the success of your organization in providing resources for victims in the Rochester area and advocating for informed and effective legislation at all levels of government. I look forward to continuing our work together to fight for the safety and care that all of our citizens need and deserve. So again, thank you all for having me this morning. It's a pleasure to join you. And again, happy to take all this information back to the senator afterwards. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank
We have Representative Morelli was not able to attend, but he has a video he wants us to display. I can't hear that.
Something that happens on the other side of the world that doesn't impact. I'm Congressman Joe Morelli. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but wanted to offer words of support for the fight against human trafficking. Human trafficking is an unconscionable violation of human rights. We often think of this as something that happens on the other side of the world that doesn't impact our daily lives, but sadly, it's something that happens all over America and right here in our local community. Human trafficking affects our society regardless of your identities or political persuasions. It does not care if you are rich or poor, urban, suburban, or rural, or for that matter, a Democrat or a Republican. It can affect us all the same way. I'm proud to work with my colleagues in Congress as well as my partners in government here in Rochester towards the shared goal of eliminating these predators. I will keep up the fight at the federal level to ensure the protection of everyone's most basic and fundamental rights by working for solutions to combat human trafficking. And I'd also like to recognize all of you for your critically important, truly life-saving work. Though this is such a devastating issue, it is heartening to know we have people here in our community so committed to this cause. Thanks so much for all you do. May God bless you.
Thank you so much. Next up, I would like to introduce, we have City Council Member Jose Payo and Mary Lupin here.
We also have Councilmember Kim Smith.
Oh, good. Okay, excellent. And Kim Smith. Okay, excellent.
Kim is going to give some remarks, and then Councilmember Pio and I are going to read the proclamation.
Okay, wonderful. Kim, take it away.
Yes, I'm trying to start my video, but to know
Oh,
that
it's fine. It's cold. Nothing wants to start today.
yes. So in the past few years, I have had the benefit of working with our cat through Dr. Celia. As I was doing work in Western New York, I came across an individual within a neighboring city who resided in a homeless shelter. She was dropped there by Homeland Security, a victim of human trafficking, hoping to relocate and start anew. Neither she nor those assisting her were equipped to work effectively with her. So I, of course, called on Dr. Celia, and although the work was outside of Rochester, Dr. Celia stepped in to help by lending her expertise. When state legislatures were unclear of the complexities of sex works, grassroots organizations called on Dr. Celia, and she was there to lend her expertise. And so I have thanked Dr. Celia verbally and our cat for the hard work and lending their expertise, not just locally, but statewide. So today, it is my hope that this formal proclamation validates the wonderful and challenging work our cat is doing both locally and statewide. Mary.
Thank you, Kim. Whereas National Human Trafficking Awareness Day was first observed in 2011 when President Barack Obama signed the Presidential Proclamation of National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, drawing attention to atrocities faced by people all across the globe. And whereas for the untold numbers of individuals who are trafficked and exploited every year, coerced into sex work, forced and tricked into unsafe labor, and subjugated by those they trusted to help them. Today is a day to recognize their plight, to honor and support the survivors, and to use our voices in uplifting the call to action. And whereas no community is immune, each year in Monroe County, hundreds of individuals face traffickers, their detrimental impact often hidden from the public eye. Yet thanks to groups like the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking, its member organizations and service providers, those affected by trafficking are provided a safety net of care, connected with supportive staff who understand how this trauma has changed them, and who will work tirelessly with them to bring their lives back to normalcy. And
whereas, as a community, we must make ourselves more aware of the warning signs of human trafficking. We must be willing to report a situation when there is concern that injustice is taking place. We must be conscientious consumers and learn about where and how the products we use are made. And whereas locally, tremendous efforts are underway to support those impacted by trafficking, with the expansion of their Rochester Human Trafficking Court in 2020 to include Monroe County towns and villages, and now RRCAHT's inaugural Human Trafficking and Social Justice Conference next week. We know the coalition will advocate for policy and programs to benefit those who have experienced trafficking, and we will continue to support these efforts. Now, therefore, we, Mayor Malik D. Evans, Council President Miguel A. Melendez, Council Vice President Mary Lupian, and Council Members Mitch Gruber, Lachey D. Harris, Willie J. Lightfoot, Stanley Martin, Michael A. Patterson, Jose Pio, and Kim Smith of the City of Rochester do hereby proclaim January 11th, 2022 to be a call to awareness for National Human Trafficking Awareness Day.
Thank you so much, City Council members. Thank you very, very much. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. And I would like to call up, we have Brightontown Supervisor William Melee, or representative.
Well, good morning. Thank you. I guess we've got the screen share of the proclamation. Listening to Dr. Mcintosh, it is so apparent that human trafficking and the insidious impact of it that truly does span all communities is a product of larger systemic issues that as a society and as a community, we need to address fearlessly. We need to address aggressively. And this is not going to go away easily because it is found in all parts of our community and all socioeconomic levels, rural, suburban, urban. This is a problem that law enforcement, that community leaders, that local officials like myself and like our council members that we've heard already, all need to make a priority and an important issue. So we will continue to move forward, and I'm so pleased with Mayor Evans in the city, our new and active city council members, the opportunity to work in collaboration, not only with the city, but with all levels of government to address this. So I will just read a portion of the proclamation. Whereas human trafficking is a modern form of slavery involving the use of force, fraud, or coercion to exploit people for labor, domestic servitude, or commercial sex acts. And whereas an estimated 26 million adults and children of all ages, races, and socioeconomic backgrounds are victimized in countries around the world, including the United States and here in our community. Yes, here. And whereas the town of Brighton supports the efforts being made by law enforcement, advocacy organizations, faith communities, and other activists, both locally and around the world, to prevent human trafficking and protect victims of trafficking. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brightontown Supervisor, on behalf of all the members of our town council, do hereby declare January 11th, 2022 to be National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Day in the town of Brighton, and use this opportunity to make all members of our community aware of the evils of human trafficking, so that trafficking and slavery are stopped and that victims and survivors are given justice and freedom. This proclamation is signed this 11th day of January 2022. And again, I want to thank everybody at RCAT and everybody around the community who are working to prevent human trafficking and protect and help to thrive the survivors of human trafficking. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And in keeping with that theme of getting people from all levels of government together, I want to just acknowledge a few other people who are here today. We have Lieutenant John Watson from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. We have Assistant District Attorney Kevin Sunderland from the District Attorney Special Victims Unit. And we have Chloe Dervin from Assemblymember Jen Lunsford's office. So thank you, everyone. This is, I'm always glad that we have this so early in the year, because it gives us a chance as a community to come together and talk about some really unpleasant things together and get us focused on what else we need to learn and what else we need to do throughout the year, because all of us believe this is a problem that can be fixed. None of us would be here if we didn't believe that. So this is the first step for a year and a future without human trafficking. So thank you, everyone who is here. I do want to just give a reminder once again that we are having the RCAT's first annual first annual conference on human trafficking and social justice is January 19th. The link has been placed in the chat. You can also go to rrcaht.org, which is our website, to sign up. It's a free conference. There's actually continuing education credits that come with it if you have a medical background. In the past, we've done roundtables after this proclamation. This year, we decided we are going to do something a little bit bigger and better. So we got you a whole conference. Thank you very, very much to everyone who is here today. This is such an important thing. We appreciate it so much. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Celia Mcintosh to close this out.
Thank you, Melanie. And I'd also like to acknowledge Director Tantillo as well. So in terms of human trafficking, we know that it exists because our societal structures allow it. Injustices such as sexism, classism, racism, and abuse are foundational to human trafficking. So today, January 11th, 2022, the Rochester Regional Coalition Against Human Trafficking recommits itself to eradicating human trafficking by continuing to increase awareness in our community, by supporting organizations dedicated to helping victims of sex, domestic, labor, or child trafficking, and advocating for change through legislation. Today, we ask our community to pay attention, learn more about these problems. Stop saying, no, not in my community. Instead, say yes, here. Yes, here in Rochester. Yes, here in Brighton, in Penfield, in Pittsford, in Fairport, in Greece, in Gates, in Irondequoit, in Victor, in East Rochester, in hotels, in homes, truck stops, on farms, and on the internet. I would like to thank all our elected officials, community members, and coalition members, and countless individuals who have donated over the last 7 years to RCAPT. And again, thank you all for joining us. Please click on the link in the chat to attend our first conference. It's free, it's all day. You get some CEU credits for it if you're, like Melody stated, in the medical profession. But we really want it to be an opportunity to connect, to network, and to elevate our mission. So thank you for being here today.